Thank you, Carrie. Oh, yeah. How willing are we to let it go, huh? We're going to talk about that today. So this is our year of empowerment. And this year of empowerment is purposeful. There's a lot going on in the world, yes? And it's all too easy for us to fall into victim consciousness, and we're going to talk about that today, too. And so everything we're going to be doing this year is about how do we empower ourselves to be an active force for transformation on this planet. Not just holding the line, but moving it. Yes? So we're in our third week of our book study on unapologetic manifestation. And this week we're looking at shift your consciousness. So if you're coming in right now, you should be fine to, I try to keep the talks separate enough. But if you want to find out what we have been discussing and working on, you can find the previous talks on YouTube, and we do have study guides that are available online and out in the courtyard if you want to work on it yourself. The books are still in the bookstore too. So first off, we're talking about manifestation, not about getting stuff. It's not about getting stuff. Can you breathe into that with me? Because, woo, that is a hard one to let go of. It is about aligning your life with your highest purpose and stepping into the fullness of who you are. Doesn't that sound more fun than just getting stuff? And I want to stress that we're manifesting something that isn't just individual, it's also collective. We are changing the world, not just our own self. But we are here to be a transformational presence on the planet. So Ken lays out the 5 steps here. And again, these are set up as 1 through 5. Don't get caught in the linearness of it. They work sort of simultaneously. You're sort of holding them all. For the practice of trying to move our way through them, we're making them linear, but it's not a linear process. Last week we talked about focusing your mind. This week we're moving to shift your consciousness. And this is really, I believe, to be the place where we get to bring our spiritual practices and our spiritual principles to the work of becoming our most joyous, fulfilled self, is by shifting our consciousness. For me, this is the place where the rubber meets the road. And we're talking about how our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. And to transform, right? To transform it all, we have to start right here. The famous line in New Thought is, it's all an inside job, right? So it's all an inside job. So we never see the world as it really is. Breathe into that for a second, right? We see it as we are, right? So we're filtering everything through our own internal lens. And I just love this graphic. So, because it says it all, right? It just says it all. Whatever it is that's alive within us is part of how we are perceiving the world. And so for those who have taken the Quantum Living with me, how many people in here have taken that? A lot of people, a lot of us are. I'm going to try and teach that again this year because I think it's really important that we understand how we navigate the shadow, right? We understand how to be present in love and compassion and healing with the parts of ourselves that we want to eliminate and cut off. Wouldn't you want to just cut off your tusk? Let's get that out of the way. But it's ours. It's part of who we are. Can we hold that in grace? But can we acknowledge that it's there? Can we become conscious of the fact that we have certain filters that we are working through and with? So shadow work, the way I hold this, and Ken, is really about how Jung sort of held it all, right? Which is that it's the parts of ourselves that we repress or we deny because usually they were somehow unacceptable in some way, shape, or form, either in our family system, either in the world, in the community, right? And the things that we decide are like, oh, that's unacceptable because of my personal family system. In another family system, those might have been welcomed and been joyous, right? So if you are a very artistic child growing up in a family that is with parent figures that are very logic-oriented, right? You could perhaps get a message that your creativity is somehow unacceptable. But if you are a very logical, oriented, linear child growing up in a household that is filled with creative individuals, you might have gotten the message that your logic, that you're linear, that strength that you have is unacceptable. So shadow work is not just also about the parts of ourselves that we don't like, but we also do it to the parts of ourselves that actually make us powerful and confident, right? We decide that something about us isn't good, rather than allowing ourselves to be with the gifts and the talents that we all have. So the shadow work piece is really, really important, and what's super important about it is how we hold it in unity, which is there is no part of you that is unacceptable. There is no part of you that is unacceptable. There is nothing that you have ever done that is not capable of being forgiven. You are not your behavior. You are something deeper than that. You are something bigger than that. So let's talk about what some of those filters can be, right? What does our rhino tusk look like, right? And so there's 4 stages of evolving consciousness. You might, in different areas of your life, you might be in different areas, right? You're not just one thing. Is everyone clear about this? Right? So we have the victim consciousness, which is everything happens to me. We have the victor, or the manifestor consciousness, which is everything happens by me. I do it all. It's a very powerful consciousness, right? I'm going to get that done. It's very American. Right? Very American, very, very American. And then channel consciousness, which is that things happen through me. And you'll hear that a lot. God moved through me. I downloaded something, right? I didn't know what it was, and all of a sudden I just was, right? That's channel consciousness, where we have sort of created a space for something to be able to inform us. And so things are happening through us. And then we have the Christ, Buddha, Gaia, Atman consciousness, right? Which is as me, the wholeness that I am, as me. This would be the I am consciousness. And you can see that the victim and the victor are fear-based. The victor consciousness, manifestor consciousness, that by me, I'm going to do it, is actually just the flip side of victim consciousness, right? It's just the flip side of it. Everything's happening to me. Gosh darn it, I'm never going to let that happen again. I'm going to make things work for me. Anybody ever feel like that in their life? Manifestor can be incredibly empowering, especially coming out of victim consciousness, but it's also exhausting. It is. It's just exhausting because it's your human self thinking that it's making everything happen. And there's all these resources that you're sort of leaving on the table. So these consciousness, they nest within us. Anybody in here ever have like this glorious like meditation or this beautiful experience, and then like you get a phone call or something happens and you immediately in a heartbeat go to, why did that happen to me? We can flip back into victim consciousness in a heartbeat. So they nest within us. Going to victim consciousness, again, we don't beat ourselves up for these things. What we want to do is just bring consciousness to it so that we can be like, oh, look at me, I went to victim consciousness. And we have tools and we have practices that can help us begin to bring ourselves back into a more faith-based alignment. So that we're always looking at fear-based, which is always about the problem. You're trying to fix a problem. Versus faith-based consciousness, where you are focused on realizing a vision. Can you feel the difference? One is pulling us forward, right? When we focus on the problem, what do we get? More problem, right? It's just what we place our attention on grows in consciousness, right? So, this victim to me, right? It's the why me. Anybody in here ever say, why me? We all say it, right? Why me? Why me? Why did this happen to me? It's this appearance that you have no control. It's this mindset that you're just sort of like being tossed around, right, by the world. And usually, we talked about this last week, it's because you think the world has a hostile intent. And if not a hostile intent, perhaps a neutral intent. But you do not believe that there is a goodness intent, right? There's a supportive intent. And so when we're in victim consciousness, we want to focus on what the opportunity is. The opportunity is that we get to give up shame and blame. Now, is shame and blame, is that a filter that is impacting the way we perceive the world? Deeply, deeply impacting the way we see the world, right? Then we have the victor, manifestor consciousness. Things are happening by me, right? I can control my thoughts and my life. Anybody in here ever felt like, that? Like, I'm in control here. And if I just pray hard enough, everything I want is going to show up for me. So when we find ourselves in this place, right, and when we're in manifestor, we are using our spiritual practices. We're using affirmative prayer. We're using these things. But it's an opportunity to give up control and to give up power. And by power, I don't mean our ability, that's one of the 12 abilities. I'm talking about our power that we think little me is responsible for everything in my life. That's spiritual malpractice. Things are going to happen in your life. Everyone just we got to learn to roll with it. Things are going to happen. We're not personally responsible for our cancer diagnosis. I can't say that enough. We're not personally responsible for things. We are capable of standing in our power of self-mastery to not let them throw us off center. That's what we have a capacity for. And then we have channel, which is through me. And we're starting to move into faith-based. Can you feel it? We're moving into an open and receptive. We're very teachable when we're in channel consciousness. We experience being a vehicle through which Spirit speaks and acts. Not I, but God that does the work, right? That energetic of it. It's an opportunity, though, for us to give up our ego and to give up any sense of separation. Because when we are in channel consciousness, which is a beautiful place to be, it also can make us very passive. Because I'm not the one who's doing the work. So I'm waiting for God to do the work. What does that mean? In unity, that doesn't mean anything, really. Because we are the living presence of the divine. So you're basically waiting on yourself. All right? So what we want to move into is this Christ Buddha, which is about an experience of oneness with Spirit. I am one with God. The Father and I are one. Whatever pieces from Scripture will support you in that. But it's an opportunity to experience and be limitless consciousness. And this is the place where we begin to experience possibilities. This is what opens up into a place where we can be open and receptive to the divinity that we are and able to move forward in time and in space. Jesus didn't spend a whole lot of time sitting around, meditating. He was out, walking around, interacting. He was in the world. And that's what we're being invited to be, is in the world. And what gets in the way? Right? Resentment and our inability to forgive. Anybody in here stuck on something? Come on, we can admit it, because we're all stuck on something. There's something in our life that is just still sort of corroding away at our own soul, because that's what resentment does. Edwin Gaines, famously said, staying in unforgiveness and cultivating being resentful is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. Right? The only person who's living in that energy is you. So this piece is really huge. The resentment piece is huge because it's a major roadblock for how we can move forward and stay open and understand ourselves as the I am. And we can feel so justified in our anger and resentment, how we were treated, right? We can feel so justified in that. But that also means that we might start drowning in contempt. We can suffocate our empathy. And the very thing that we loathe takes roots in ourselves. And it becomes corrosive to our own soul. And I love this. He says, we become mean-spirited. And that word, like mean-spirited, you're not giving, you're not sharing, you're not open. And we know that living a prosperous and abundant life and all of that means that we need to be open, not closed. And this is deep work, releasing resentments. So why forgiveness is so important? Because it reduces your stress. Let me be really clear. You're doing forgiveness work for you. That's the point of the forgiveness work, is for you to be free, is for you to not be carrying any of that around anymore. It lowers blood pressure, increases cardiovascular health, boosts the immune system, gives you better mental health outcomes, increases feelings of peace, empathy, and self-esteem, psychological resilience, emotional stability, healthier and more positive relationships, and a greater sense of purpose and meaning in life. Does anybody want all these things? So we have these practices that can actually support us if we're willing to let go, right? If we're willing, as Shay said, to say, hey, resentment, I see you. I see you. So, of course, one of the most powerful practices is the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Forgive me, thank you, I love you. Everybody say that. I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. Can you see how, if you do this just for yourself, are there things you need to forgive yourself for? Can you just start there? Can you clear out the resentment that you have about yourself? Start there first. So there's an exercise in this chapter, and it's straight out of the AA, so those who are in AA will be very familiar with the resentment inventory, but it is super powerful. So I want everyone to do it this week, right? I want you to do the resentment inventory. And the way this looks is you start off in column 1, has all your resentments. Right? You get to go to town here. Do not self-censor. You don't need to be spiritually balanced and good in this moment, okay? You want to be honest about what is alive within you in terms of your resentments. And you want to list all the people, the places, the things, the institutions, the ideas, the principles with which you are angry, resentful, feel hurt, or are threatened by. Then in the second column, you're going to write what happened, right? The reasons for your resentment. And be specific about what happened. Don't write a 5-page diatribe. right? But be specific about what happened and why you are angry. Why are you hurt? Why are you threatened? And then the third column is what it affected, right? And so those areas that are affected could be your self-esteem, it could be your pride, it could be your finances, it could be your emotional security, your ambitions, your personal relations, your sexual relations. What was affected because of what happened? Did you miss an opportunity? Did you lose out on something? What is it that was affected because of what happened? And then the fourth column is the trickiest column, which is my part in it, right? And you want to ask yourself, what's the truth here? Where's my responsibility? What part do I own? And what might I have done differently? I want to be really clear that if we're talking about things that happened in your childhood that were horrifying, you're not responsible for that. Is everyone hearing me? Okay, you're not responsible for that. But as an adult, what part do you have in maintaining that narrative? Right? What could you be doing differently as an adult? Okay, we're not laying any blame for anyone on violence being done to them, right? I really want to be, is everyone clear about this? Okay, what we're asking you to take responsibility for are the places where you can take responsibility. Yes? Okay, don't beat yourself up for things for the part that you have no responsibility to, right? But the way you navigate it now as an adult, do you have some autonomy and an ability now to hold that in a different way, perhaps? That would be what you would be putting in for part 4, my part in it. Okay? So how do you do this? Because I can feel the tension in the room, right? Like I can feel the tension just sort of ratcheting in the room. So number 1, you just got to be willing. Just write it all down, write all the feelings down, write the things, just write it down, because even that's cathartic. Just acknowledging where you have resentment, just acknowledging where your feelings are hurt, just acknowledging where you're like, right? Why did they do that? How did that relationship get so messy? Right? Get it down on paper. Make it something that's living over here rather than just here and here. And then, if you can't think of any present situations that you're holding resentment around, which I think is kind of hard, maybe given our political climate at this moment, but if there is something, if you're like, everything in my life is awesome right now, I love you for that. I'm jealous of you for that. You can use the past. Okay, you can use something that happened in the past. This is the most important part. Work one column at a time. Work column 1 as if you do not know that column 4 is coming. Right? Just do each column one at a time. And what I would suggest is you do column 1 and do like 4 or 5 things you're resentful for. And then move to column 2. All those 4 or 5 things, go through what happened exactly. All 4 or 5 of those things, what got affected? All 4 or 5 of those things, what was my part? And don't be surprised if you start to notice a theme. If you start to notice a pattern about what it is that was happening or playing itself out. And so the last part is to absolutely bring self-compassion to the process. Do not beat yourself up, right? The list isn't a testament to your faults. That's not the point of this entire exercise, right? But it's an example and an opportunity to stand in your courage and your honesty. Because that is the place that we can heal from. As long as we're pretending that we're not really resentful about the ex who took all the money and got the house, and I got nothing, as long as we're pretending because we're in a spiritual space, and I am, all that stuff we do with our spiritual ego, that doesn't allow us to feel what we actually feel, well, those feelings are still impacting the way you see the world. So what we want to do is bring them forth so that we can heal and transform them. And part of what I want to offer is a way for you to stay sort of grounded in yourself. So heart math has been around for a long time. If you don't know anything about heart math, go check it out, right? Heartmath.com, I think, is the website. But they have a ton of different exercises that are all designed to bring your heart into coherence. And what that means is that they've done, like when you're frustrated, they've got special ways to measure heart coherence. And that frustration is what the top line looks like. Appreciation is what the bottom line looks like. So there are tools and practices that can help bring you into heart coherence. So if you're doing this resentment thing and you're starting to get freaked out and it's feeling like too much, stop. Take a break, take a moment, recenter yourself. Allow your nervous system to calm down. Reassure yourself that you know how to take care of you, right? Because that's what you're doing in that moment. I can quiet my nervous system so that I can keep moving forward, so I can keep my healing on track. And so scientifically, it has been proven that heart coherence exercises, and there's a bunch, right? They reduce stress, they improve immune function, they boost cognitive performance. Anybody in here need that? They shift the automatic nervous system into a more balanced state. They promote resilience, overall well-being. And here's the piece. They've done scientific work that shows that when you're in coherence, you bring the people around you into coherence. So we're not just talking about an individual thing. We're talking about building up our capacity to be a place for global coherence, for a collective field of harmony. So here's one of the simplest heart math appreciation exercises you can do. You focus your attention on your heart. You imagine breathing through your heart, opening your heart, whatever kind of works for you there. Don't get caught up on the idea that my heart can't breathe, okay? Then call to mind a time or an experience or a person that you actually truly appreciate. That's it. Just call up someone you appreciate, and then allow that appreciation to just grow in your whole system. You can do this in 2 minutes and completely reset yourself. And if you don't believe me, we're going to do it when we step into meditation right now. So you'll get an opportunity to practice it. So this week, really, this resentment inventory, I cannot tell you how powerful it is. You have to step into it. And so if you're part of a study group, do it together, right? Work it together. Use each other. Don't think you have to do this all alone with just your own stuff, because we're all in this together. And whatever resentments you might be carrying, guess what? I got some of those on my list too, right? And all of this is to invite us into a state of being able to let it go. Forgiveness does not mean that we are agreeing that they were right. Forgiveness means that we no longer wish to carry the burden of our own resentment. That's what forgiveness means. We no longer wish to carry that person with us. Think about that. When we don't engage in forgiveness, we're still carrying those people. They're still with us. Chances are they're not thinking about you, but you are thinking about them. So this is an opportunity for us to clear some stuff away. And as we clear it away, guess what? We're making room for more possibility. We're making room for more potential in our lives. We're making room so that we're manifesting from the faith-based consciousness rather than from the fear-based consciousness. Anyone ever notice how you try really hard, but all you keep manifesting is the same thing again and again and again? Because we're stuck in that fear-based consciousness. So this is how we move into faith-based, the vision pulling us forward, not the problem calling us back. So let's take this into our time of meditation. So just breathing into whatever got stirred up. Maybe there's a person or a situation. Maybe it's just you. You know, we often, in New Thought and spiritual teachings, we can become very, very judgmental about ourselves. We haven't learned enough yet. We haven't grown enough yet. Oh, what if we just let some of that judgment fall away? What if we let some of that frustration fall away? What if right where you are is perfect? Perfect. You're right where you're supposed to be. So we quiet, and I just invite you to just bring you into your heart more fully. All of you, the parts of you that you don't like, that you wish were different, the parts of ourselves that we just sort of struggle with. Just invite them into this soft space that is always available, always accessible. If you want to place your hands on your heart and just breathe through your heart. Welcoming someone, something about yourself that you appreciate. What is there that you appreciate about you? A skill, a gift, a way of being with others. And just place your attention on all of that appreciation. And if that feels challenging, think about who else you also appreciate as well. The people in our lives. So let's just rest here for a few minutes in the silence, just appreciating all that we are and all that the people in our life bring to us. Let's just rest in this place of open-hearted appreciation. And let's just do a round of Unapologetic. Just say to yourself, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Thank you. I love you. One more time. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And so we go forth this week with the capacity to recenter ourselves, to bring ourselves into coherence, to allow ourselves to let go and to release what no longer serves, and to allow any of those resentments to be healed as we open ourselves to our infinite potential. How grateful I am for each person here, for the willingness, for the yes. Because as we say yes to our healing, we are healing the planet right here and right now. And in agreement, I invite you to say with me, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. So our affirmation, I retyped it. I did, I swear. Okay, so we're supposed to stay curious, yes? Look at all those question marks. So let's say, I release my resentments. I align with my highest purpose. I open to the possibilities within and all around me. And so it is. Amen.